Hello friends, welcome to Prashant IAS. Friends, first of all, I am really sorry for not uploading the videos from last few days. Actually, I went out of station due to some very urgent work. But friends, now I am at my home, so now I will try to provide you the video lectures regularly. So friends, in the last class, we have completed our discussion with the state legislature. And in the last class, I taught you about the law making process in the states. Okay, means how the laws are made in the states. So friends, till now we have completed our discussion with the legislature of states. So now let us discuss about the governor. So you can clearly see on the screen that the topic of today's class is governor. Okay. So friends, in this class, we will discuss about the topic of governor in a very detailed manner. So friends, let's begin. So friends, first of all, the most basic question is that who is governor? Okay, or we need to know that what is the meaning of governor? Okay, so in the previous classes also, I told you that whenever we are discussing any topic, so first of all, we need to know the meaning of that topic. Okay, because I promised you that I will teach you each and every topic from basic to advanced level. So first of all, we should cover the basics of any topic. So first of all, you need to understand that what is the meaning of governor or who is governor. So friends, governor is the constitutional head of the state. Okay, so who is governor? So governor is the constitutional head of the state. Okay, now what does it mean? And what do I mean when I am saying that governor is the constitutional head of the state? Okay, so let me explain you this. So friends, in the lecture when I taught you about the President of India, so in that lecture I told you that who is President. So I told you that President is the constitutional head of India. Who is President? President is the constitutional head of India. Okay. So friends, this simply means that the President of India is the highest constitutional officer in India. President of India is the highest constitutional functionary in India. And President of India is the head of entire India. Okay. Now friends, in the previous classes, many a times I told you that India is a federal country. Okay. So when I told you that India is a federal country, so it means that there will be government at two levels. First of all, the government at union level or central level, and then the government at the state level. Okay. Now the government at the central level or the union level is basically known as union government. Okay, so this government is known as union government, and the government at the states level is basically known as the state government. Okay, but friends, I also told you that center and all the states are the units of federation. Okay, so what I told you, that center and all the states are the units of federation. Now what does it mean? It means that the center and all the states together, they form the Indian Federation. Okay. Now friends, as President of India is the head of union, as President of India is the head of center. Okay. So this simply means that President of India is the head of entire India. In the similar way, we also need a constitutional head at every state. Okay. For example, there are many states in India. State of Madhya Pradesh, state of Uttar Pradesh, okay, Kerala, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh. There are many states in India. Okay. Okay. So what happens? That the head of a state is known as governor. So as President of India is the head of entire country, as President of India is the head of entire India, in the similar way, each state has its constitutional head, which is known as the governor of that state. Okay. For example, let us take the example of the state of Madhya Pradesh. Okay. So there must be a governor. There must be a governor for the state of Madhya Pradesh. And the governor of Madhya Pradesh is the constitutional head of Madhya Pradesh. Okay. In the similar way, let us talk about the state of Tamil Nadu. Okay, so there must be a governor for the state of Tamil Nadu, and the governor of Tamil Nadu is the constitutional head of Tamil Nadu. And this also means that governor is the highest officer, is the highest constitutional functionary working in the state. Okay, so the governor of any state is the constitutional head of that state, and the governor of that state is the highest constitutional functionary working in that state. So this is the meaning of governor. Now friends, after this let us discuss about the appointment of governor. Okay, so for example, when I taught you about the President of India, in that class I taught you that how the President of India is elected. Okay, so can you remember that I told you that President of India is elected by a system of proportional representation through single transferable vote. And I also told you that what is the electoral college in the election of president. So I told you that the elected MPs of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha and the elected MLAs of state legislative assembly take parts in the election of the president. Okay, so in the similar way, now our question is that how the governor is appointed. Okay, so actually friends, what happens that there is no election. Okay, there is no election for the post of governor. So how the governor is appointed? So governor is basically appointed by the President of India. Okay, so we can also ask this question in a way that who appoints the governor for a state? So the answer is President of India. Okay, so what happens that President of India appoints the governor of states. Okay, and definitely President takes the advice of Council of Ministers and definitely Union Council of Ministers in the appointment of the governor of the state. Okay, so we can conclude that governor of a state is appointed by the President of India. Okay, and definitely President appoints the governor on the basis of the advice given by Union Council of Ministers. Okay, so friends, now let's move forward. Now friends, after this, the next question is that what is the tenure of governor? Okay, so tenure of governor basically means that what is the term of the office of governor, means for how long the governor remains in his office once he is appointed by the President of India. So friends, generally what happens that once a governor is appointed by the President of India, then he remains in his office for a period of 5 years. Okay, so generally what happens that the tenure of governor is 5 years. But friends, there is one more thing, and that thing is that governor holds his office during the pleasure of president. Okay, so what I am saying is that governor holds his office during the pleasure of president. Now what does it mean when I am saying that the governor holds his office during the pleasure of president? So pleasure of president simply means that it simply means that until the President of India is happy with the governor, till the time governor will remain in his office. But if the President of India is not happy with the governor, then President of India can remove the governor from his office. Okay, so this simply means that governor of any state can be removed by the President of India anytime. Okay, but if President is happy, then he will remain in his office and he can serve for a maximum period of 5 years. But if President is not happy with him, then President can remove him from his office anytime. Okay, so this means that a governor holds his office during the pleasure of president. Now friends, after this let us discuss about the resignation of governor. Okay, so we can say that how the governor resigns. Okay, or in a more better way, we can ask the question like that, to whom governor submits his resignation. Okay, now what is the meaning of resignation? So I think that at this stage all of you know that what is resignation. So resignation basically means that, let's suppose there is a person who is serving as the governor of any particular state. Okay, now let's suppose due to any reason now this person do not want to serve anymore as the governor. Okay, or in simple words, he want to leave his post as governor. So what he will do, he will simply resign from his post. So when he will resign, then he will no more be the governor. Okay, so what happens that governor of any state actually submits his resignation to the President of India. Okay, so to whom governor submits his resignation? The governor of any state submits his resignation to the President of India. So we can say this like that governor resigns from his office by addressing the resignation to the President of India. Okay, so friends, here you can observe the role of president, that the role of president is so important in the functioning of the governor. Why? Because who appoints the governor? President of India. Okay, who can remove the governor? President of India. Okay, similarly, to whom the governor will offer his resignation, address his resignation? President of India. Okay, so the role of president is very important for the office of the governor. Okay, now friends, let's move forward. Now friends, let us discuss about the position of governor. Okay, so we can say that now we are discussing about the powers and position of the governor of any state. Now friends, when we will discuss about the position and powers of the governor, so we will compare it with the President of India. So this topic is more mains oriented. Definitely this is important for prelims exam, but this topic is more mains oriented, means this is more important for mains exam. So what we will do here, that we will analyze. Okay, what we will do, we will analyze and we will compare the powers and position of governor and powers and position of President of India. Now friends, here we will not individually see the power of governor and the power of president. What we will do, that we first of all we will see the position of the governor, vis-a-vis his council of ministers. Okay, what I am saying is, first of all we will study about the position of governor vis-a-vis his council of ministers. So vis-a-vis means in relation to his council of ministers. Okay, and then we will see the position of the President of India vis-a-vis Union Council of Ministers. Okay, what I am saying, are you getting my point? I am saying that first of all we will analyze the position and powers of governor vis-a-vis his council of ministers. And what is the meaning of vis-a-vis? So vis-a-vis simply means, so what is the meaning of vis-a-vis? Vis-a-vis simply means in comparison with. Okay, in comparison with. Okay, so it simply means that first of all we will study the powers and position of governor in comparison with his council of ministers. Okay, what we will do, that first of all we will see the powers and position of governor in comparison with or in relation to his council of ministers, and after that we will see the powers and position of President of India in comparison with, okay, in comparison with Union Council of Ministers. Okay, and then we will examine that in comparison with Council of Ministers. Okay, means if I am saying Council of Ministers, then at state level Council of Ministers mean State Council of Ministers, and at unit level Council of Ministers means Union Council of Ministers. Okay, so here we have to see that in comparison with their respective council of ministers, who is more powerful. Okay, friends, if you will see individually, then definitely President of India is more powerful than governor. I am making it to you more clear that if you will see individually, then it is a very obvious thing that President of India is far more powerful than the governor. Why? Because definitely the very existence of the governor is dependent on the President of India. President appoints the governor. Okay, President has the power to remove him, and governor offers and addresses his resignation to the President of India. So it clearly means that if you will compare individually, then President of India is far more powerful, is extremely powerful as compared to governor. But here the comparison is more analytical. So here what I am saying, that here we have to see that in relation with their, in comparison with their respective council of ministers, in comparison with their respective council of ministers, who is more powerful, governor or president? Now are you getting my question? So my question is that if we will compare the powers of President of India, and if we will compare the powers of President of India with Union Council of Ministers, okay, and if we will compare the powers of governor if we will compare the powers of governor with his state council of ministers, okay, then with respect to their respective council of ministers, who is more powerful? Means whether President of India enjoys more power in his council of ministers or governor enjoys more power in his council of ministers. Okay, so now are you getting my question? So my question is that whether President of India enjoys more power in his council of ministers, means in union council of ministers, or governor enjoys more power in his council of ministers, means in state council of ministers. Okay, so here we are not comparing the powers of governor and president directly. Here we are not comparing the powers of governor and president individually. Here we are seeing that who is more powerful in comparison with his own council of ministers. Okay, means whether President of India is more powerful in Union Council of Ministers, okay, or Governor of a state is more powerful in comparison to his own state council of ministers. Okay, so now let's see. So friends, first of all, let us discuss about first point. Okay, so what we are doing here, so now you know that here we are comparing the position of governor in comparison with its council of minister to the position of president in comparison with union council of ministers. Okay, means we have to find the question that whether governor is more powerful in comparison to state council of minister or president is more powerful in comparison to union council of ministers. Okay, so simply we are saying that who has more rights or who has more powers in his own council of ministers. Friends, I think that now also many of you may be having doubts in your mind regarding this question. So first of all, I would like to explain you this question in a more detailed manner with the help of an example so that no doubts will remain. So let's suppose that there are two persons. The name of the first person is Mr. A, okay, and the name of the second person is Mr. B. Okay, now what happened that let's suppose that Mr. A only has a two-storied house. Okay, so Mr. A is the owner of two-storied house, whereas what happened that Mr. B is the owner of a six-storied house. Okay, so here I am constructing the house of Mr. B. So Mr. B is the owner of six-storied house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So if I will ask you that who is more powerful, who is more wealthy, who is more rich. Okay. So you can clearly see here that as Mr. A is only having two-storied house and Mr. B is having six-storied house. So this simply means that Mr. B is more rich. Mr. B has more money and Mr. B is more powerful. Okay. So if you will individually compare Mr. A and Mr. B, then you will jump to the conclusion that Mr. B is much powerful than Mr. A. But now I have second question. So now my second question is that let's suppose Mr. A also has one family and Mr. B also has one family. Okay. So let's suppose that this is Mr. A. Okay. And how many more members are there in the family of Mr. A? So there is one wife and two children in the family of Mr. A. Now friends, let's suppose that he is Mr. B. Okay, and how many members are there in the family of Mr. B? So in the family of Mr. B also there is one wife and two children. Okay. Now what happened that Mr. A is also a working professional and Mr. B is also a working professional. Mr. A, so in the morning Mr. A went to office. Mr. A goes to office in the morning and then in the evening he returns to his home. Now the same is the case with Mr. B, means in the morning Mr. B goes office and in the evening Mr. B returns back home. Okay. Now what happens that let's suppose, okay, so now I am telling you one story. So now that story is that let's suppose when Mr. A returned back his home, so what happened that his children came and as per the Indian culture his children touched his feet. Okay, then what happened that then his children kissed Mr. A. Okay, and after that what happened that the children gave massage to Mr. A because they were thinking that our father is very tired because he was in office for entire day just for us. Okay, then after that what happened that the wife of Mr. A prepared a very special dinner for Mr. A, and then she served very special dinner to Mr. A. Okay, and after that what happened, that his wife. Okay, so now what happened, that in the night Mr. A demanded his wife that I want to eat something sweet. Okay, so what happened, that the wife of Mr. A made a dish known as rasgulla. Okay, so this is a sweet dish. So the wife of Mr. A instantly made rasgulla for his husband. Okay, now let us take the case study of Mr. B. Now what happened, that Mr. B came home. Okay, so now when he came home, so his children were watching television, so they didn't pay attention to their father. Okay, and now Mr. B asked them that, hello children, how are you? Hello my son, hello my daughter, how are you? And they didn't reply to Mr. B. Okay, say okay father, okay, we are busy in watching television. Okay, and after that what happened, that when Mr. B went to meet his wife, then the wife of Mr. B told him that today I didn't want to prepare dinner, so kindly go to kitchen and prepare dinner for me and children and for yourself. And if you want, then we can go outside for having dinner. But Mr. B told his wife that my stomach is upset, so we can't take food outside. Okay, and moreover, I am also very tired, so I don't want to cook the food. But the wife said, no means no. You are going to kitchen and you are cooking the food for children and me. Otherwise, just go outside. Okay. So now I am asking one question, that even though Mr. A is not rich, is not as rich as Mr. B. Mr. B is very rich. Mr. A is poor. Okay. Mr. B is very powerful. Mr. A is not that powerful. Okay. But who has more respect in his family? Okay, what is my question? So my question is that who has more respect in family? So you can clearly see that when Mr. A came home, then children were just welcoming their father. Okay, children were just kissing the father. They were giving massage to father. Okay, and moreover, the wife is listening to each and everything which her husband is saying. Okay, which Mr. A is saying. Wife is making rasgulla in night, even though she was tired. So we can say that Mr. A is getting much respect in his house. Now if we will talk about Mr. B, then Mr. B is not getting that much respect in his house. His children are not listening to him. His wife is not listening to him. His wife does not care whether he is tired or not. His wife is just saying him that you are going to kitchen and cooking food. Okay, so it simply means that Mr. A is more powerful in comparison to with his family, and Mr. B is not that powerful in comparison with his family. Okay, but if you will compare individually, then Mr. B is more powerful as compared to Mr. A. But if you will compare in comparison with their respective families, then you can jump to the conclusion that Mr. A is more powerful. Mr. A is getting more respect from his family, but Mr. B is not very powerful. Mr. B is weak. He is not getting any respect from his family. Okay, so now the same thing here we will apply on governor and president. So here we are not discussing about the individual powers. Individually, president is very powerful as compared to governor. But here we have to see that in comparison with their respective council of ministers, who is more powerful, whose position is more secure. Okay, who is more powerful. Okay, so now let us begin our discussion. So friends, for starting our discussion with the first point, first of all I want to ask one question from all of you. So my first question is that if you will study the Constitution of India, okay, so what is the best way? So you can buy a Bare Act from the market, and there you will find all the articles of the Constitution in the Constitution of India. Okay, so if you will read the Bare Act or if you will read the Constitution of India, then can you find anywhere written in the Constitution of India that the President of India is having the discretionary powers? So friends, let me give you the answer of this question. So friends, if you will read the Constitution of India, then you will find that actually nowhere it is written in the Constitution of India that the President of India has any discretionary powers. Okay, what I am saying is that if you will read the Constitution of India, then it is nowhere written in the Constitution. Means it is not written in the Constitution that the President of India is having discretionary powers. Now some students can ask me and some students can tell me that, sir, in the lecture when you taught us about the President of India, in that lecture you taught us that President of India is having these discretionary powers. But my friends, these discretionary powers which I taught you in the previous lectures, these were not directly written in the constitution, and nowhere it is written in the constitution that president is having discretionary power. These discretionary powers of the president are actually implicitly given. Implicitly given means, so implicitly means indirectly, means if you will read the various articles in the Constitution of India regarding the President of India, then you can come to the conclusion, okay, that these can be the discretionary powers of the President. What I am saying is that if you will read the different articles in the Constitution of India regarding the President, then you can come to the conclusion by your own understanding. Okay, means you are making assumption. Okay, you are understanding it. Okay, so if you will read the different articles of the Constitution, then you can come to the conclusion, then you can jump to the conclusion that these are the discretionary powers of the president. But in the Constitution of India, nowhere the discretionary powers of the president are written, and nowhere it is written in the Constitution of India that the President of India has the discretionary powers. Okay, so there are 2 points. The first point is that it is not written in the Constitution that president has any discretionary powers, and second point is that nowhere in the Constitution the discretionary powers of the nowhere in the Constitution the discretionary powers of the president are given. Okay, so how do we find these discretionary powers? So by reading the different articles, we just make assumptions and we jump to the different conclusions that okay, these can be the discretionary powers of the president, but directly no discretionary power is given to the president, and nowhere it is written that the president is having any discretionary power. Okay, now let us discuss about governor. So friends, if you will read Article 163 Clause 1 of the Indian Constitution, then it is directly written in that article that the governor of states have discretionary powers. Okay, so if you will read Article 163 Clause 1 of the Indian Constitution, then it is directly written in this article of the Constitution that the governor is having some discretionary powers. Okay, so let me write this article for all of you so that you can understand that what is written in that article. So friends, this is Article 163 Clause 1 of the Indian Constitution. So now let's read what is written in this article. So it says that there shall be a council of ministers with the chief minister at the head to aid and advise the governor in exercise of his functions, except in so far as he is by or under this constitution required to exercise his functions or any of them in his discretion. Okay, so you can clearly see that the word discretion is written here. Now let me explain you that what is the meaning of this entire article. So this article says that, okay, so we know that there is a governor in the state. Okay, and who is the governor? So I told you that governor is the constitutional head of the state. Okay, so now what Article 163 Clause 1 is saying? This article is saying that there will be a council of ministers. Okay, and the head or the boss of this council of ministers will be called as chief minister. Okay, so let me write it here. So this article means that there will be a council of ministers, and the boss of this council of ministers will be called as the chief minister. Okay, so as at the union level, the boss of council of ministers is called as prime minister. So here the boss of council of ministers is called as chief minister. Now what will be the work of this council of ministers? The work of this council of ministers is to aid and give advice, the governor of the state. Okay, so what this council of ministers will do? This council of ministers will give advice to the governor of the state. Okay, and governor will have to work according to the advice and aid of council of ministers. Okay, so what is happening? That council of ministers will give advice to governor, and governor will have to perform his functions. Governor will have to exercise his powers according to the advice of council of ministers. Then it is written that governor will not work according to the advice of Council of Ministers. Okay, so then it is written, okay, from here, from except. So it is written that governor will not work according to the advice of Council of Ministers if he has to perform those functions. If he has to perform those functions in which he has to use his discretion according to the Constitution of India. Okay. So it means that whenever governor will perform those functions in which he has to use his discretion according to the Constitution of India, so in performing those functions, governor will not work according to the advice of Council of Ministers. So there are actually two parts in this article. So the first part of this article is saying that first of all, governor will use all his power, governor will do all the works according to the advice of Council of Ministers. But there is a condition. The condition is that in the Constitution of India, according to the Constitution of India, some governor will have to do some works by using his own discretion. Governor will have to do some works by using his own discretions. And in performing these functions and in doing these works, governor will not act according to the advice of Council of Ministers. Okay. So it simply means that Article 163 is giving some discretionary powers to the governor of states. Okay, so there are some discretionary powers given to the governor of states where they don't have to listen to the advice of Council of Ministers. Okay, and in other areas they have to work according to the advice of Council of Ministers. So friends, here we have clearly seen that nowhere it is written in the Constitution that President is having discretionary powers, but Article 163 clause 1 is directly saying that governor is having some discretionary powers. Okay, so so what conclusion we can draw? So we can clearly say that till now we can say that governor is more powerful. Governor's position is more secure in comparison to State Council of Ministers in comparison to President's position with respect to his Council of Ministers. Okay, so what I am saying that from this first point is clearly indicating one thing, and that one thing is that the position of governor is far more secured in comparison to State Council of Ministers. And the position of President of India is not that secured, is not that powerful in comparison to Union Council of Ministers. Why? Because governor is having some discretionary powers, whereas president is not having any discretionary power. Okay, according to the Constitution. Okay, but when we read different articles of the Constitution, then we draw some conclusions, and then we can indirectly say that these are the discretionary powers of the president. Okay, but directly it is written in the Constitution that governor is having some discretionary powers, and it is nowhere written in the Constitution that president is having discretionary powers. So we can say that the position of governor is far more better and is far more secured in State Council of Ministers in comparison to the position and powers of President in Union Council of Ministers. Okay, now friends, let us discuss second point. So friends, when I was teaching you about the President of India, so in those classes I taught you one thing, and that one thing is that President cannot exist. President cannot exist and use and discharge his executive functions. President cannot exist and discharge his executive functions without a council of ministers to aid and advise him. Okay, so what I told you? So I told you one thing, that the President of India cannot even exist and exercise his executive powers without a council of ministers to aid and advise him. Now what does it mean? So it simply means that if there is no council of ministers, then president cannot exist. If there is no council of ministers, then president cannot discharge his executive functions. Means if president wants to exist and if president wants to perform his functions, then president needs a council of ministers to advise him. Okay, then I told you that even if the Lok Sabha is dissolved, so when the Lok Sabha is dissolved, so what happens? That the government is also dismissed, council of ministers is also dismissed. So even when the Lok Sabha is dissolved, then also there is a caretaker. Okay, so when the Lok Sabha is dissolved, then there is a caretaker council of ministers to aid and advise the President of India. Okay, so I told you that even if the Lok Sabha is dissolved, then also there is a caretaker COM, means caretaker government, to aid and advise the President of India. But friends, if you will see the position of governor, then what happens? That governor can exist without council of ministers, and governor can also perform his functions without council of ministers. Okay, now what does it mean? It means that even though there is no council of ministers in the state. Okay, so for example, let's suppose that if the legislative assembly of the state is dissolved. Okay, if the legislative assembly is dissolved. So if legislative assembly is dissolved, then this simply means that there will be no council of ministers. Okay, and even if there is no council of ministers, then also governor will exist. Means governor will hold his position and governor will discharge all his functions. So this simply means governor does not need any council of ministers. It is not mandatory. Governor does not need council of ministers to exist and to discharge his functions. So now also you can see that who is more powerful? Governor is more powerful. Okay, so what we can conclude? So now we can also jump to the conclusion that the position of governor is far more secured vis-a-vis his council of ministers as compared to the position of president vis-a-vis union council of ministers. Okay, so we can see that the position of governor is far more better. The position of governor is far more secured. Governor is more powerful vis-a-vis his council of ministers in comparison to president vis-a-vis union council of ministers. Okay. Now friends, after this, let us discuss the third point. Now for discussing the third point, we need to study Article 163 Clause 2 of the Indian Constitution. Now what does this article says? So now let us read it first of all. So it says that if any question arises whether any matter is or is not a matter as respect to which the governor is by or under this constitution required to act in his discretion, the decision of the governor in his discretion shall be final, and the validity of anything done by the governor shall not be called in question on the ground that he ought or ought not to have acted in his discretion. Now what does it mean? Okay, so now I will explain you the meaning and the spirit of this article. Okay, so friends, this article means that let's suppose what happened, that governor is working. Okay, let's suppose governor is working in his office. Okay, and now there is also a council of ministers which is headed by the chief minister to aid and advise the governor. Okay, what is the work of this council of ministers? Its work is to advise the governor. Okay, so now in the previous article I told you that few functions of the governor. The governor has to perform many of his functions on the advice of council of ministers, and he has to perform some functions on his own discretion as given in the Constitution of India. Okay, so now let's suppose what happened, that there is some particular work or there is some particular function. Okay, let's suppose that there is some particular function. Now what happened, that council of ministers is saying that governor has to perform this function on the advice of council of ministers, whereas the governor is saying that I have the discretionary power in this function, so I will perform this function or I will do this work on my own. I will use my own discretion in performing this work. So what happened, that means a question has arisen. Okay, so a question has arisen that whether this particular power of the governor, okay, so here it is written question. So a question has arisen that a particular power of the governor is belonging to its discretionary quota or not. Okay, so what is the question? So the question is that whether a particular power of the governor is belonging to its discretionary quota or not. Okay, so now in this case, the decision given by the governor will be final. Okay, means if governor will say that okay, this power belongs to my discretion, then this will be the discretionary power of the governor. So you can clearly see here that with respect to his own council of ministers, in comparison to his own council of ministers, the governor is having very high powers. Okay, governor have much powers when compared to its council of ministers. Okay, and if you will see the office of president, then president is having no such power in comparison to his own council of ministers. Okay, so now let's move forward. Now friends, let us discuss about the fourth difference. Okay, so friends, in the previous class when I taught you about the lawmaking procedure in the state, so in that class I told you that how a bill is passed by the state legislature. Okay, so once a bill is passed by the legislative assembly, or if in a state there is two houses, means legislative assembly and legislative council. So when a bill is passed by both the houses, then what happens, that the bill is sent to the governor for his assent. Okay, so in the previous classes I told you that these are the options which governor have when a bill is sent to the governor for his assent. Now I am telling you that governor has one more option. Okay, so if you will read article 200 of the Indian Constitution, then you will find that whenever a bill is sent to the governor, whenever a bill is passed by both the houses of state legislature, or if there is only one house, then by legislative assembly of the state legislature, then governor also has one more option. Now that option is that governor can reserve that bill. Governor can reserve that bill for the consideration of the President of India. Okay, now what does it mean? It means that governor can send that bill. It means that governor will not give assent to that bill, and governor will send that bill for the consideration of president. So now that bill will be sent from governor to the President of India, and now President of India will consider that bill, and then President of India will act on that bill. Okay, so this is a special power which the governor has, and president does not have any power, any power like this. Okay, for example, when I taught you that how the bills are passed in parliament, then for different bills I taught you different things. For example, I taught you for money bill what happens, that president under convention president give his assent, or at best president can apply absolute veto, but only on the recommendation given by council of ministers. Okay, but here what happens, that governor can even send money bill. Okay, governor can even reserve the money bill for the consideration of the President of India. Okay, so this is a special power given to the governor, that governor of a state can reserve any bill passed by the state legislature, including money bill, for the consideration of the President of India. Okay, so in this way also governor can stop a bill from becoming a law. Okay, so this power is only enjoyed by the governor. President does not have any such power. Okay, definitely president is the highest constitutional functionary present in India. So president cannot send any bill anywhere else. Okay, but governor has the power to reserve a bill and to send a bill for the consideration of the President of India. Okay, so here also we can consider that what we can consider. So here also we can jump to the conclusion that what happens, that the governor is far more secured. The position of governor is far more better vis-a-vis his council of ministers compared to the position of president vis-a-vis his council of ministers. For example, if a money bill is passed by state legislature and if it is sent to the governor, now if governor does not want to give assent to that bill, so governor can reserve that bill for the consideration of president. But if a money bill is passed by the parliament and it is sent to the assent of the president, then president has to give his assent to the bill. Okay, president has no other option. At best he can apply absolute veto, but that too he can do only on the recommendation of council of ministers. Means on his own he can only provide assent to the bill. So here also you can clearly see that what happens, that the position of governor is far more secured vis-a-vis his council of ministers as compared to the position of president vis-a-vis the union council of ministers. So friends, now also some points are remaining. So now we will discuss all the remaining points in the next class. So friends, that's all for today. Now we will meet in next class. Till then, stay healthy, stay indoors, and if you like the video, then please like the video, comment, subscribe the channel, press the bell icon and select all. Now we will meet in next class. Till then, stay healthy, stay indoors, take care of yourself. Thank you.